Oh my goodness, this Blake Lively has way too much money.
Hey everybody, welcome to Popcorn Planet. It's Kim. I'm here with Andy, who is traveling. It is good to see you. We had to talk
I'm in
about this.
my mom's gourd garage, guys. You guys please go check out her website, support my mom's amazing gourds. That's gourdfineart.com. Oh yes, plugging my mom because she's the best. But yeah, thank you, Kim, for patching me in as I'm here with my parents. I saw this headline and I still can't get over how out of touch this woman. What?
The chauffeur arrived, not with vital legal documents, but with a $500 Mahjong set delivered directly to Blake Lively in a tense court mediation. The room, filled with high-priced lawyers billing over $1,000 an hour, reportedly watched as Lively, allegedly bored after just a few hours, decided her judicial duty could wait. This single act, more than any legal brief, instantly ignited a firestorm, painting a stark picture of privilege completely detached from the gravity of a legal battle. It was a move that screamed out of touch, echoing past controversies and leaving onlookers flabbergasted by the sheer audacity and the devastating optics of such a public display. The humiliation was immediate and undeniable.
Thank you, Kim, for patching me in as I'm here with my parents. I saw this headline and I still can't get over how out of touch this woman. Wasn't one of those keywords that they were calling out for as retaliation was the out of touch, mean girl, out of touch. But yet here she is again on her own accord, seemingly putting this out. I'm just flabbergasted. The amount of money that they have spent on this trial alone, Kim, right? Just to think, you're sitting in this settlement room with 10 lawyers that are charging you, what is it, $1,000 an hour? Probably something crazy. And you got 10 of them.
Imagine the scene, a high-stakes settlement room, 10 top-tier lawyers on the clock, each demanding astronomical hourly rates, pushing for a resolution. This was no casual meeting, it was a critical juncture in a bitter legal dispute, where every minute translated into thousands of dollars. The atmosphere should have been charged with intense negotiation and strategic maneuvering, a place for serious discussion and compromise. Instead, the focus was abruptly shifted, not by a new legal argument, but by the arrival of an unexpected and incredibly expensive game. The sheer waste of time and resources became an immediate talking point, overshadowing the complex legal issues at hand.
Right? Just to think, you're sitting in this settlement room with 10 lawyers that are charging you, what is it, $1,000 an hour? Probably something crazy. And you got 10 of them. Do the math. And you're sitting in a room with 10 of these expensive lawyers, and you're like, I'm bored. Can someone please get me in touch with my chauffeur?
And that's the thing.
I'd like to get my $500 Mahjong set here to play instead.
So, just in case you weren't aware of this story, basically what has been reported exclusively with Page 6, arguably the most important headline through this entire saga of drama, is that Blake Lively had her...
Reports indicate Lively arrived at 8:30 a.m., but by 11 a.m., a mere 2.5 hours into proceedings, she was already weary of the wheels of justice turning slowly. This astonishing lack of patience, considering the immense financial and personal stakes involved, is what truly baffled observers. Most individuals facing such a crucial legal moment would be laser-focused, yet Lively allegedly sought diversions. It begs the question, how committed was she to genuinely engaging in the arduous process of mediation if boredom set in so quickly, leading her to call for personal entertainment? This detail alone spoke volumes about her priorities.
Basically what has been reported exclusively with Page 6, arguably the most important headline through this entire saga of drama, is that Blake Lively had her chauffeur bring her Mahjong set to court. And it says in the article, considering that they started to do their mediation negotiations, I believe the legal documents said at 10. Now this says she was there at 8:30 a.m., but by 11 a.m., Page 6 reports, we hear that Lively, likely doing some waiting while the judge went back and forth between her team and Baldoni's, had grown weary of the wheels of justice.
The specific item chosen for her mid-court entertainment was not a simple deck of cards or a crossword puzzle. It was a $500 Mahjong set, a detail that further amplified the perception of unchecked extravagance. This wasn't just a game, it was a luxury item, a symbol of opulence brought into a setting demanding solemnity and seriousness. The price tag alone became a focal point, drawing immediate comparisons to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, being spent on the legal proceedings themselves. It transformed a private moment of distraction into a public spectacle of perceived disregard, casting a long shadow over her image.
So I never had that, like, you know, you can't bring in electronics in, so I don't know what the rules are. But I thought it was very interesting. I took some of my favorite comments from this article of people kind of weighing in on this, of saying she got bored at her own SH lawsuit related proceeding, and it was all blah, blah, blah to her, speaks volumes. Seriously, who was going to play it with her there? That the game was supposed to be played by 3 to 4 people. What did this count
She's
as?
like paying her lawyers to like stop doing their lawyering, Kim. Like you're sitting in a room and you're spending all this money and you're like not getting legal advice while you're paying them. But like, let's think this out. Let's talk it through. I mean, my God, you'd think there'd be 100 things to talk about with your lawyers in the room, but no. Hey, let's play Mahjong.
This incident wasn't an isolated misstep. It tragically served to reinforce long-standing criticisms that Blake Lively is profoundly out of touch. For years, she has faced accusations of insensitivity and being a mean girl, criticisms that some argue she consistently validates through her own actions. This highly publicized court gambit was a perfect storm, providing fresh ammunition to her detractors. It cemented a narrative that she struggles to grasp the realities faced by most people, especially when juxtaposed against the backdrop of a serious legal dispute. The event became a public relations disaster, proving her critics right.
She doesn't read, Kim. We've learned that. She doesn't read.
I think the part of this that just I found the most frustrating, quite bluntly, is that through this whole situation, and people have their own opinions on it and whatever, but one of the biggest criticisms that Ms. Lively has had is that she is out of touch. That some of the things that she's done, it's insensitive to other people at times, you know, the whole marketing around the film and everything else. And then we see headlines like this, and it's like, this just, it's not, it doesn't look good. And the thing is, this is not the first time that she has been slammed over this. Literally during the holidays last year in December.
The public outcry was immediate and fierce, with comments flooding social media and news articles ripping into Lively's perceived behavior. One particularly scathing remark noted that her presence at her own lawsuit-related proceeding seemed all blah 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 to her, speaking volumes about her perceived engagement. These reactions weren't just about the Mahjong, they were an outpouring of frustration over what many viewed as a blatant display of privilege and disrespect for the legal process. The court of public opinion delivered a swift and brutal verdict, adding to her mounting public image problems.
It's her doing! It's like, we are literally proving her own actions yet again. And we constantly have to go back and check her own, prove it. It's unbelievable. She out of touch, mean girl, all these things prove to be true.
Yep.
Because of her own actions. That's what's so wild. But I can't get over the fact that, yeah, she's literally in a court proceeding paying, God, it was probably like $10,000-$20,000 today. Easy for that settlement. You got to pay the settlement. I think you got to pay for the mediators too. The judge, all that stuff costs money. I've done it once, and it's brutal. Actually, no, I did it twice. I remember when
A significant question immediately arose. Who exactly was Blake Lively planning to play Mahjong with in court? The game is typically played by 3 to 4 people, making the logistics of her diversion completely baffling within the context of a legal hearing. Was she expecting her high-priced lawyers to set aside their $1,000 an hour duties to join her in a game? The scenario painted a ludicrous picture, further highlighting the absurdity of her demand. It suggested a complete disconnect from the professional environment, implying she viewed the court as her personal playground rather than a place of serious legal work.
Oh, this is easy, clear cut. And then they come at you hard, and then it immediately makes you defensive. So I have no doubt this was hard, but to think that Blake's response to that is just, I bring my Mahjong. To me, Kim, we poured in this yesterday too. The fact that Ryan Reynolds didn't show up, the fact that she literally wasn't using that time to talk to her own lawyers, right, to like prep the case and figure out what to do or accept an offer, to me, those two things now together prove to me there was no planet where Blake Lively was going to settle in that settlement hearing today. Do you disagree?
Well, the settlement hearing that she was at on Thursday, I believe. When you're
Sure,
saying
yes,
day,
sorry,
I know.
Many questioned why. If she was so bored, she couldn't simply bring a book. The simple, low-cost solution highlighted the stark contrast with her extravagant choice. A comment that resonated widely was, "She doesn't read Kim. We've learned that." While perhaps a sarcastic jab, it underscored the public's perception of her intellectual engagement, or lack thereof. In a place where electronic devices are often banned, a book is a common, acceptable, and discreet form of personal entertainment. Her choice of an elaborate game rather than a quiet read further solidified the image of an individual seeking grand gestures over simple solutions. The irony was not lost on anyone. Lively was in a room full of highly paid legal professionals, actively incurring massive fees, yet seemingly chose to play a game rather than engage with them. This wasn't merely a personal diversion, it was a costly one, as the time her lawyers spent sitting there, effectively on standby while she entertained herself, was still being billed. It raised serious questions about the efficiency of the legal process and the utilization of such expensive resources. The Mahjong set became a symbol of money being squandered on frivolous activity during a critical legal event. Her actions bringing a game into such a serious environment sent a clear, unspoken message. She was not fully invested in the grueling process of settlement. A good mediation, as legal experts often state, means both parties leave somewhat unhappy, having made concessions. However, Lively's public display of disinterest suggested an unwillingness to truly grapple with the difficult compromises required. It potentially undermined any leverage her own legal team might have had, creating an impression of indifference that could impact the opposing side's perception of her commitment to a resolution. This was not a power move, but a misstep. This wasn't even the first time the $500 Mahjong set had landed Blake Lively in hot water. Just months prior, during the holidays, she faced public backlash for widely gifting these very same expensive Mahjong boards to her friends. The criticism then, as now, revolved around the perceived insensitivity of promoting such lavish gifts, especially during a time when many struggle financially. The court incident merely brought a previous controversy back into the spotlight, proving that her affinity for this particular high-priced game consistently leads to public relations challenges and accusations of being out of touch. Commentators vehemently argued that Lively's repeated actions, like the Mahjong court incident, consistently prove the veracity of the out-of-touch mean girl label she has long battled. It's as if she cannot help but self-sabotage, providing fresh evidence for her critics time and again. Each new public misstep, particularly one involving such overt displays of wealth and indifference in inappropriate settings, solidifies the negative image she struggles to shake. This pattern of behavior creates a cycle where her own choices perpetually validate the very criticism she faces, making public empathy increasingly difficult. The financial implications of her apparent disengagement from the settlement process are staggering. Legal experts estimated the day's settlement talks alone likely cost tens of thousands of dollars, considering the sheer number of high-priced lawyers, mediators, and court fees involved. By signaling a lack of serious intent to settle, Lively potentially prolonged the entire legal battle, driving up costs significantly for all parties. Her Mahjong diversion, therefore, wasn't just a personal quirk, it was a potentially expensive signal that she was not ready to make the necessary compromises, extending the financial burden. Further fueling the speculation about her approach to the settlement, hearing was the conspicuous absence of her husband, Ryan Reynolds. While not legally obligated to be there, his presence might have signaled a united front or a more serious commitment to resolution. Instead, her solo appearance, coupled with the Mahjong incident, fostered the perception that she was not truly seeking a quick or amicable end to the dispute. This collective picture painted a compelling argument that there was no planet where Blake Lively was going to settle in that settlement here today, as one observer put it, raising questions about her strategy. The core purpose of a settlement hearing is to find common ground, often through difficult concessions that leave both sides feeling like they didn't get everything they wanted. As one lawyer noted, a good mediation means both people kind of leave unhappy. This challenging environment demands focus, open-mindedness, and a willingness to compromise. Lively's alleged decision to call for a game instead of fully immersing herself in this demanding process suggests a profound misunderstanding or disregard for the legal realities. It transformed a serious negotiation into what many perceived as an indulgent waste of valuable legal time. Page 6, which broke the exclusive story, detailed the timeline, emphasizing how quickly Lively grew weary. The article reported that mediation negotiations began at 10 a.m. and by 11 a.m. she was already calling for her diversions, while the judge shuttled back and forth between legal teams. This specific detail solidified the narrative of impatience and detachment. It wasn't hours of grueling talks that led to her boredom, but a mere hour, making her demand for a $500 Mahjong set seem even more egregious. The article's precision underscored the shocking quickness of her alleged disengagement from the process. Many fear that this Mahjong episode, combined with recent discussions about her extravagant outfits at other court appearances, is merely a precursor to a much larger spectacle. Concerns are mounting that the actual trial will devolve into a circus, with Lively's public displays of wealth and perceived indifference overshadowing the serious legal arguments. The wardrobe budget alone for a film like It Ends With Us was reportedly massive. Observers now speculate about the lavishness of her trial attire, further fueling fears that the proceedings will become more about celebrity spectacle than justice. In stark contrast to Lively's alleged actions, other parties involved in the legal proceedings maintained a more composed demeanor. Justin, for example, upon leaving a separate settlement hearing, offered polite well wishes to reporters, saying, "I hope you guys stay warm." This simple, grounded interaction stands in stark opposition to the image of a celebrity demanding an expensive game during her own serious legal matter. The juxtaposition highlighted the perceived difference in approach and public conduct, making Lively's actions appear even more jarring and out of touch compared to others involved. As the legal battle continues, with settlement hearings concluded for now and a motion still pending, Lively's actions during mediation could subtly influence perceptions. While a judge's decision should be based purely on legal merit, public sentiment, and the optics created by a litigant's behavior can undeniably shape narratives, her Mahjong stunt has undeniably complicated her public image and added a layer of unwelcome scrutiny. The ongoing watch on the court docket will reveal the next legal steps, but the shadow of the $500 game will likely linger over her case, regardless of the eventual verdict. The image of a $500 Mahjong set being delivered to a celebrity during a high-stakes court mediation transcends mere gossip. It's a powerful, unsettling symbol. It lays bare the chasm between extreme wealth and everyday reality, exposing how privilege can manifest in profound insensitivity, even in the most solemn of settings. This incident serves as a stark reminder that public figures, especially during legal battles, are under intense scrutiny, and every action, no matter how seemingly small, carries significant weight. In a courtroom, every move is judged, and some moves, like playing an expensive game, can lead to undeniable humiliation.